What did your parents tell you about their childhoods? Like, did they tell you about movies they used to watch? Did they tell you about the clothes they used to wear, about dances they went to, about their proms, about their crushes, boyfriends, girlfriends? What did they tell you about their growing up? My mom used to have some good stories for me and some that were not so good. Some were quite traumatic, actually. But they all gave me insight into why she became the woman she ultimately became, why she did things a certain way, why she handled me in certain ways, and why she did things separately from how things were done when she was a kid. So one of the things that she told me was a fun little story. When they used to get out for summer, they got their report card and they were all happy and excited because they did quite well, and they all got promoted to the next grade, and they were excited about that. So they would be skipping home together going, we got promoted, la 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 la. And I always thought that was so cute. Another story she told me was how they used to play funeral, and they were all reverends. My mom had 3 sisters and 2 brothers, and then some of her cousins came over, and they all had different names according to their nicknames. And so they would find like a dead frog or a dead bird or something, find some kind of a box to put them in, and they would dig a small hole in the ground and put the bird or the frog in the ground in the box, and they would just have a little mock funeral. And they would all take turns preaching and pretend to cry, and Brother Frog was a good man and Sister Bird was a good woman and all that kind of stuff. And I always just thought that was adorable. It was just adorable. It really was. Another story. This was a gem too. They, as I said, walked home together, and they used to have to cross the railroad tracks. Well, one time there was a train stopped on the tracks. It was not moving. So they all had to roll up under the train to get home. They didn't want to wait for the train to start moving, because if you have ever stood and waited on a train to move from the tracks, it is a tedious thing, because you don't know when that thing is going to move again. I've had to do that. And so I started taking an alternate route so I wouldn't have to cross the railroad tracks anymore. But they couldn't do that. So once they all rolled up under the train and started back on their way home, they all were adamant to my youngest uncle, do not tell Mama. Because if he told Mama, they were all going to get in trouble. So what happened? They got home. He told Mama. He told Big Mama. That's what we called my grandmother. He told Big Mama, and they got in trouble. They got their hides tanned, and it wasn't fun. But my mom used to tell me that story quite a bit over the years, from when I was a child to when I was in my 30s. One thing she always left out, though, was this little tidbit that my uncle told me as a grown-up. He said, yeah, they all got me back too. They all beat me up. They all beat them up. My mom never told me that part. She always left that part out. And so one time when my second oldest aunt came over, this was when my mom was bedbound and she wasn't speaking anymore. She couldn't physically speak anymore. I brought the story up to her, and she laughed. And I said, is it true that y'all all beat him up? And she said, yeah, gonna tell on all of us and got us in trouble, got us a whooping from Mama. And so that was something my mom never told me. I told her, I said, Mama never told me that part. I said, I've heard that story so many times over the years, ever since I was a kid, and Mama never told me that part. So, yeah, that was. I didn't know that as a child they all celebrated Halloween. I didn't think that Halloween was a thing that my family did, because growing up, that was a thing that my family didn't do. As a child, I never went trick-or-treating. What my mom would do was she would bring me home a big bag of candy, like a big bag of M&Ms or some kind of assorted candy, and that would be my Halloween candy. Sometimes she would bring me home a mask, but that was as far as Halloween went for me. She would give me a little taste of it, but not a lot. And so I got to see other kids going trick-or-treating. Sometimes we had candy for them, depending on what house I lived in. Sometimes not. But my mom said that one year it was raining outside really, really badly. So my grandfather got some bags, and he's the one who went door to door trick-or-treating for all his kids, all 6 of them. He went and did that by himself. He put on a coat and a hat, and he went door to door collecting candy for the kids, because he didn't want his babies out in the rain. And that was the kind of man my grandfather was. Let's see, what else can I tell y'all? My mom, at the age of 11, got to babysit this woman's kids. I forgot what kind of work the woman did. I think she was a nurse or something. I can't really remember, but she kept those babies over the course of a weekend. One was like a toddler, maybe a baby, but at least a toddler. And then another was a few years younger than her, probably about first or second grade. And my mom at that time knew how to cook at the age of 11. So she made sure that the kids were cleaned and that they were fed and the house was clean and food was cooked, the dishes were done. Everything was in order when that woman got back home. And the woman looked around the house, she looked at her kids, they were clean and fed, they were happy, playing, they loved my mom. So the woman gave my mother enough money, I don't know how much it was because my mom wasn't really specific, but gave my mom enough money to where she could buy her own school clothes that year. And yeah, those are just a few of the stories my mom told me about her growing up. I can't remember a lot of the other ones. One in specific that I do remember is kind of traumatic and sad, and I don't really want to tell that one. Another is really traumatic and sad, like I can't even believe it. I don't want to believe it. But so yeah, I'm not going to tell those two. It is just too much, especially in light of the fact that my mom's not even here anymore. So yeah, I'm going to go. What kind of stories did your parents tell you about their growing up? I want to hear it because it's probably a lot more exciting than the stuff that I told, believe me. So just tell me in the comments, what did your parents tell you about their childhood years? I am nosy, I am curious, and I want to know, so tell me in the comments. I love engaging with you guys. But you guys, I'm going to go. As usual, there are donations links in the description. You will find my PayPal, Cash App, and GoFundMe. If you would consider clicking on those and helping me out, you'll be helping me more than you could possibly realize. The money will go on bills, utilities, food, and whatever else it would take to keep this channel going. And I thank you so much in advance if you do help me out. Hit me up on my socials. Links will be in the description, or you can go in the bio and all my links will be there. Linktree and all of that. But you guys, a wise man once said, you have to build your tribe one person at a time. If you would like to be a part of my tribe, hit that subscribe button no matter what generation you're from. I would be so glad to have you. Thank you so much for wasting time with me. I love you so much for that, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hope to see y'all on the next upload. Bye for now.